What's up, veterans? JB coming to you live. I am 100% permanent total Navy Desert Storm veteran. And in today's episode, I'm going to talk about how petty the VA is when it comes to enforcing Title 38 Part 4. Again, I want to just let you know that the VA is very petty, but in their words, they think that they're being very strict. So with that being said, I want you to learn from my experience about being compliant to Title 38 Part 4, okay? You want to be compliant to Title 38 Part 4 because you're going to run up against employees of the VA that don't have you and your family's interest in at their best hand, okay? So if you value your family's time and money and legacy, you have a duty, obligation, and responsibility to be compliant to Title 38 Part 4. Let me tell you why. See, when I started my VA process, I was homeless and I worked on limited funds. And I told you guys from the previous videos, if you've been following me long enough, is that I was selling CDs and DVDs and purses and everything else so I could amass income to pay outside doctors. If I was homeless, that means I didn't have medical insurance. I'm not like most of you who got jobs who have medical insurance. So I had a lot of handicaps. Some of you are so chicken and so fearful about this VA process, and you got all of the resources at your fingertips when it comes to finances. I had a lot of hurdles to jump. My barrier to entry was very steep, okay? So after I did my medical nexus letter with my private physicians, who I had to find, locate, and educate, locate, and educate the physicians that will give me a chance to want to be more than just a thank you to me and put their license on the line and write a medical opinion based on the evidence that I presented, for as my service treatment record evidence, my medical evidence currently from direct diagnosis from the VA, and to write that medical opinion. So even with that being said, I submitted 11 disabilities, and I want to talk about this very common disability called tinnitus, the ringing of the ears. I have bilateral hearing, bilateral tinnitus, and I have to sleep sometime with a speaker to hear the ocean, so I won't hear the ringing of my ears at night. And so I still suffer from that because I had noise exposure while serving the greatest country in the world. How did I have noise exposure? Well, my MOS was avionics technician. I was an AT in the United States Navy, okay? So I worked on jets. The preferred jet that I worked on was the EA-6B Prowler. It was an electronic countermeasure jet, probably a Northrop Grumman jet manufacturer. And I served from 1991 to 1995, and we did 2 med cruises. One on the John F. Kennedy, one on the Dwight D. Eisenhower. We talk about it quite a bit. And so how can you work maintenance on cockpits of jets that have tail hooks on an aircraft carrier and not be exposed to the loud noises, not only from the EA-6B Prowler, but the F-14, the F-16s, the A-6s, the helos that's on the aircraft, the E-2s that's on the aircraft, the HS-7s. These are all different types of aircraft that are turning on this platform while we're underway, doing probably 15, 20 knots in the Atlantic Ocean or the Mediterranean. Not only that type of noise exposure, but noise exposure from being on the flight line in our squadrons back at NES Whidbey Island. Because every morning we have to do what we call FOD walk down, foreign object damage. We walk the line for these screws, metals, things, so it wouldn't get up in the engine intake. And then that's how we started our day. So they're doing missions and sorties, all doing at shore and also off duty when we're on deployment. So how could I not have the probability of exposure, which I do, and then the diagnosis? What's missing? See, the problem is that most veterans right now are asking themselves these dumb questions. How can I not be service connected if I got a current diagnosis, I'm getting medications, I'm being seen by the VA about this, or by my private physician, and I've shown them proof of noise exposure in the military based upon my MOS? How can I not be service connected? Well, if you understand Title 38 Part 4, you would not ask that question, because I ran out of money to pay for an audiologist to do an examination for me and determine that my current tinnitus is linked to my service, being an AT in the military, that audiologist that I went to on the CMP exam, which is the duty to assist law, they have a duty to assist once you submit the evidence. That audiologist sat there and said there is no link between his MOS and his current diagnosis. And that VA rater took that audiologist's word. And so in my favorable findings in my decision letter, specifically said everything I just talked about. So those of you that doubting my education or doubting Title 38 Part 4, you doing yourself and your family a disservice. Okay? So I want you guys to understand you have to meet all three elements of Title 38 Part 4: diagnosis, evidence, and link. If you don't have your own medical link from a private physician, you're going to lose, just like I did with tinnitus. I am not service connected for tinnitus still to this day, and I can easily go back and could have appealed in the last 12, as long as it happened within the 12 months, I could have appealed it, got my medical nexus, but I had already got 100% permanent total, so I did not worry about it. Okay, so guys, I just want to shoot this video for you, let you know that the VA is very petty about their law. You got to be compliant to Title 38 Part 4. Talk to you soon. God bless.